Welcome back to another episode of BOYZ Love Kingdom Legendary War. This week we are recapping episode 4? Yes, 4 of the 2021 smash hit show. As always, I'm Adam. And that's RJ. Is that a little product placement you were doing?
No, I didn't show the logo, don't worry.
Oh, okay. Because they have to pay.
But Canada, if you want.
Canada, if you want to sponsor us, feel free. Should we get started? Should we delve right into the mess? Because that's what we're going to start with. We're starting with the end of the episode, which is the reveal of the full scores from round 1 of Kingdom. Okay.
This is now incorporating the the views and the votes.
The views and the votes. Okay? Let's go by views.
Sure.
First. In sixth place, SF9. In 5th place was the BOYZ. In 4th place is btob. 3rd is ateez. 2nd is iKON, and 1st is Stray Kids. Not knowing how big the fandoms are of the older groups, I feel like that could make sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
To me.
Yeah, I think so.
The BOYZ being 5th is interesting.
Right.
Let's talk about the votes. In 6th place is the BOYZ. In 5th place is ateez. In 4th place is btob, holding strong at 4th place. In 3rd place is iKON. 2nd is SF9. And 1st is Stray Kids.
Now, you guessed correctly how the votes were cast.
When I saw that list, because I believe they were asked, like the self-evaluation vote, they had to vote for 3. I believe the votes were the same, where you had to vote for 3 groups. I believe what happened was that there was some strategizing on, I mean, we could say it on the Stay's part.
Yeah.
To have less competition,
to keep the one that to keep the person that you really want to win in your top vote, and then bring in who you think are the ones you don't want to vote up, so that way it doesn't move up their closest competition.
Right.
Yeah.
Now these are 6 groups that obviously any of them could win.
Yeah.
Okay. The show is formatted in such a way that it does feel like the crown is being handed from one generation to another. So going into the show, it does feel like it's like, well, we need to make it a 4th gen group is going to win.
Yeah.
Just because it would be weird to be like, oh, the greatest K-pop is the older K-pop, right? Like you want to be like, what's current is the best, and we are
to keep it
moving forward.
Continue the legacy.
Right. So I think going into the show, it would make sense to be like, oh, the 3rd gen groups are there to like be like, oh, it's lovely to see them. I'm so glad Charlie Hides is here and gets a shot. You know what I mean? Come on, Charlie, let's go. Charlie, let's go. Before I was in fandom space in this way, specifically K-pop, I had never thought about strategizing voting. I had genuinely never thought about it, because in my mind, I'm a very pure person. I'm a very, ethical person. Not that this is unethical, but it's just, I would, like, if I was voting, I would be like, oh, who are my favorites?
Who are my favorites?
That would be the 3 that I would vote for. Because then I can be sure in my mind that whoever wins.
Yeah.
Now, this is the conversation around voting that always happens.
Right.
Obviously, Stray Kids has a very big fan base. Partially, some of that is because they're from one of the bigger companies, so they have a bigger reach because they have more money. Blah, 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 blah. That's just facts, right? Like, big companies can do more because
they have the resources
to do so, right? Voting like this is hard. So I think the only thing I can really critique, right, is that I don't think I would make it 50% of the votes is based on fan engagement. I think I probably would have done a third
yeah.
between the self-evaluation, the professionals, the anonymous professionals, and the fan votes. And then in that fan vote, half of it, or I guess you could do a separate percentage of whatever. I would have probably done half stream or half views, half votes.
But this is mnet's whole thing. I mean, like their shows are built on people voting
because it's guaranteed engagement. It's guaranteed views.
Tune in, yeah,
right, which is how they make their money.
Yeah.
So it's messy, right? Like how if you get rid of fan voting, then you fully walk into the trap of like, oh, well, then they just pick whoever they want to pick. Like none of the votes are real then, right? There's no perfect system, especially in situations like this.
I don't think there's anyone. Please let me know if there is one actual survival show where people thought this was fair and we liked it.
Yeah, because I mean, even in...
I feel like every single survival show that we've seen, there will always be... They do try different things. I think they try to do different voting parameters. Strategies. So I appreciate that they're trying different things. I just don't think we'll find the right one.
Well, and it's different because like a trainee show is going to have...
A trainee show should have weight with the people that are training them. Yeah. I feel like that's our biggest criticism sometimes.
Well, and if you don't get enough people that watch the show and are whatever, then you run the risk of like there's not enough votes for it to like kind of get a real majority consensus. Then it starts... I don't know. I mean, like... It's weird. It's like weird to even vote on. I don't know. I mean, like, there's no perfect way to make this system. Yeah. And so that's why there's so much consternation around it, because morally, ethically, people want there to be like a really fair system in place, but there just isn't. It's weird that I think about this now because on our Patreon, like, we ask for votes.
We set votes.
We have started,
and we change the voting every time because
you learn
it's not perfect.
No, and there's no way to make it perfect. Like there's, I don't know. I mean, like it's very weird. There's just like a lot of thought that I've been thinking about voting lately, just generally, just because of like what we do, and then like for it to like kind of come up in this way. Then I was like thinking like, okay, if I was a producer of the show, how would I fix it? And it's like you kind of
just try something.
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Like, I do think it's probably not great for it to be half audience based.
I think
that's my biggest critique.
I think the best thing to do is just be transparent of like, this is just set the parameters. Because at least if you set parameters and you say what they are and are transparent about it, then at least people can just say, well, that system doesn't work. You should try a different system. As opposed to like, we can't trust you for the votes.
Well, and you can't decide. I mean, like, we have the same question when people vote for our stuff. Like, why are you voting? Like, in my head, I would, if it was like, okay, let's say like they didn't do 3. You could only vote 1 performance. And it was like, the prompt was vote for the performance you think is the strongest.
Yeah.
I would probably vote, I would have voted for ateez in round 1. Yeah. I thought that was the strongest performance. We said it last week.
Yeah.
So, fine. But there are people who are, it's a fandom.
Yeah, it's a fandom.
They're going to vote for their favorite group because that's why they're watching the show.
Yes.
They want,
so it's just
they want to reward their favorite group, right? Yeah. Like that makes perfect sense. So then it's like, well, then if you voted for 1, then you would have a very clear. Then it would be very clear who just has the
most
biggest
fans.
numbers. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how you do it. I mean, I guess you could do ranked choice, which is kind of what we've come up with on our channel for like the beloved of the month vote. But even then, like, how do you rank it? Like,
then people will have strategy.
What weight do you give to each one? Like, I think the dumbest thing for Boys Planet was the thing that annoyed me was the like discrepancy between the weighted votes for the Korean votes versus
then
the global votes. But also, like, it's their home. I mean,
it's
like,
theirs. It's their show.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all weird.
Yeah. I just don't think we'll ever have the perfect system.
No.
And I think the go-to thing to say is like, it's always rigged. The votes are never right, whatever.
Yeah, that's easy.
That's
an
just
easy
easiest
excuse.
thing to say. I just don't think I'll ever be happy with how voting works in a show. So I more end up just being along for the ride. And obviously it'll be a bummer if like the people that I really want, I think this more applies in training shows, where like my picks, my favorites don't get to win because they work hard to have a career, to start the new career. I think like for shows like this, where it's like just an exhibition of like how cool and creative we are, I think if I was watching this, I wouldn't be as pressed. If I was like me now at the time watching it, I don't think I would be as pressed in the votes.
Well, because you even in the trainee shows, you run into stuff where like the voting feels weird in the final episode, right?
Yeah.
Like, how does Sanu, who had led all the votes in Island,
all of a sudden,
it's because people just started assuming, oh, everyone will vote for him, so I'll throw the other vote to the other person. Not that, that group ended up how it ended up, and we thought that was a fine finale, but it's just voting gets in people's brains.
Voting gets in people's heads.
And then they start to think they're smarter than the system.
Yes.
And when everyone starts to think they're smarter than the system is nothing.
Then it doesn't work anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the
like,
showing.
also, like,
it's the showing midterm grades. It's the showing like the sneak peeks like Yuvin's 10th. Like stuff like that.
Which we've done that before, and showing the interim
interim
rankings
rankings
is so fun.
It's you know what?
On the producer level,
I'll give it up to the mnet producers because it's fun to see the girls
freak out.
Yeah,
but we like. I don't know how much more I need to go on about this. I guess, but.
I just think that the votes are gonna be like this. This is just. It feels like that this is gonna be the pattern for the rest of the show.
Yeah, fan level, I think it's annoying, but on like a level of like statistician, I do think it's interesting.
Just say numbers.
Just say data.
Just say statistician. Stat potatoes.
Stat potatoes.
Yeah. But let's get on this round, diva.
Okay, so let's start with SF9. They are our first performance today. So first of all, their criticisms from the professionals were that it wasn't very exciting.
It was kind of missing a wow factor, which
there was no
is
climax.
What you said. There was no climax. I mean, I think there were two, at least from this house.
Yeah.
But they said what you said.
I actually don't think it was there. I don't think it was performance 1, but performance 2.
They made up for it, I think, in today's. They said what you said. So you were one of the professionals.
I was one of the professionals. Listen, I do think it's probably good that these professionals were not outed and like whatever, because people are so crazy that they would have doxed them and probably murdered them. I don't know. Like people are so wild.
Yeah.
So SF9 rebounds. They're itching for a comeback. They're itching to prove themselves that they can do this. And so
they were paired because ateez had won the professional and self vote in round 1. They got to pick the first pair of who they would switch songs with, because this round was called Reborn, where they would switch a song with the other person, with the other team.
Yep.
So ateez picked first, and then whoever would be next would pick next, and then the leftovers.
Yep.
SF9 was in the leftover group with the boys.
Yep. Which I think is interesting, because I do think they're groups of a similar ilk.
Yes.
Let's say.
I think they were going to pick 4th gen, 3rd gen, no matter what.
I think that just makes sense.
That just makes the most sense. Or 4th gen, older gen.
Who is older gen? What's her story?
Older gen.
Older Jennifer. What is her story?
The New Adventures of Old Jennifer. The New Adventures of Old Jen. And it's basically iKON B2B.
It's B2B.
It's B2B.
First of all. It's Eunkwang as the main character.
Eunkwang is absolutely the New Adventures of Old Jen. She's living, honey. She's loving the show.
Nobody is having a better time on the show then
Then
Eunkwang
Eunkwang.
from B2B.
I think Bobby is also having a great time.
Bobby's having a great time, but I think
his
that's
team
Bobby's general demeanor.
That's just Bobby's thing.
Yeah.
Apparently, Bobby had just had a kid too.
Wow.
At the time of this filming, so
crazy.
that's why he pieces out after the performance because they were like, "It's getting late. I do have a child."
So SF9 is paired with the boys, so they go through the discography,
and they
make some
mention
choices.
they bring up your favorite song, Adam. The song that must not be mentioned, apparently.
And they end up deciding that they are going to
They're
do
doing
a
the
cover
Steeler.
of The Steeler.
So when they first said the Steeler, you were like, "Oh, I don't think that's a good idea. That's literally your gig." This
Well, it
song
also
is the closest.
It also felt like a
SF9.
song in my mind that was like, they kind of
It's
did a
kinda-
similar concept last week.
Kind of, it feels more like the intro, like the stealing the
Right.
jewel.
And they
you
also,
know?
they also did The
They
Steeler
were
already.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The boys did. Obviously, The Steeler had just come out the year before. This
It's
is
hot.
fresh on everybody's minds
Absolutely.
when they think of The Boys. Great song.
Yeah.
Great
We love
song.
it. You can watch our reaction right here.
Oh, great. They have this idea that they are going to turn it into a mafia story. So they're gonna continue their introduction stage with that mafia energy
Yes,
into
Into
this.
this. Yeah.
And I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, very Dick Tracy,
With the song.
whatever.
Yeah.
A noir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The noir-ver.
I do wish they had done like the noir kind of like Light Through Blinds. Light Through the Venetian
Yes.
Blinds.
Yeah. Office.
There is a
But noir is,
aesthetic that
Dick
I think of.
Tracy. Yeah.
Dick Tracy, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is
Right.
like a
It plays on
send up
it.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like new neo-noir films that are kind of hearkening back to the original noir,
Yeah.
but with updated,
Yeah.
you know, kind of everything. Anyway, love the genre.
Yeah.
Think it's a great idea.
But they're fully like, we got to come up with stories. That's what the girls are talking about.
That is the through line of
Yes,
the three
older
older
groups.
groups. Older gens.
We got to do stories.
The older gens from New Adventures of
Yeah.
Old Jen
Yeah.
are all, it's storylines. We have to come up with storylines. And they have this acting coach come in. This is Jung Sung-hwa.
Yes.
And he comes in to show them how to act. I thought this was funny because half of them are
Half of them are
actors.
already actors. Yeah.
I understand that
I think it was
the
just more
point
of
was
the
like
the
a high
program.
school show is different than this, but
Yeah.
also like this is a 4-minute
Yeah. I think it's
music
more of a
performance.
I
but-
think it's just written. Because Adam was like, why do they need this? They're all actors. And I was like, I think it's
They have nothing else to do.
the show.
Yeah, it's the show.
It's the
Let's talk about this performance. Any thoughts about SF9's The Steeler? I've got two big thoughts. Two big natural thoughts.
Oh God. Listen.
I don't want to just
Listen.
take I will talk about the actual performance.
Yeah.
But it would be absolutely crazy for these
two gay men.
old gay men on this show to not say how
fucking
incredibly hot
this
all of these men are.
performance was. How
I am
hot all
sure
9 of them. all
SF9
9.
fans, just like the boys fans, hate it when it's like feels like someone is just talking about the visuals of the group. I get it. It's
I
annoying.
would like to know if there's fantasy out there. Please tell us. Is that like your lead in? Is that how you get people? Like, look at this fine ass.
I mean,
man.
I feel like that's like
and they can sing and dance, and it's a musical.
and it's a musical. I feel like that's like basically
That's how
like
K-pop
Wano's
kinda-
thing.
Oh yeah.
It's like look at me.
Look at
and then
me.
be like, and
Oh,
also
and
I'm
I-
good.
yeah.
I'm talented. You know what I mean? They're really hot.
They're really
They're
hot.
so hot.
And I think I do think that they are so comfortable in how hot they are that they're like, no, our whole we can incorporate this.
Oh my god.
I do think Jaeyoon was like, I'm not wearing a fucking shirt. You watched me slip slide last week. Couldn't jump on those like 10 dancers. I am fucking showing up there without a damn shirt, and I'm going to like get someone by wrapping my thigh around them and then shooting them in the head.
He could shoot.
I love this performance. There were a lot of great parts.
I liked this performance. I have a couple complaints, but yeah, I liked this performance.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot more than last week's, for sure.
From what I hear,
Or last
the
round.
SF9 gradually gets better and better. I do think that it feels like
I mean, that's the trajectory you want.
yeah, totally. It feels like they're probably just getting more and more finessed. Because genuinely, once again, these girls are so fucking booked that they just need time. It still uses a lot of the and now it's this person's part, and now it's this person's part. I think that's just a general thing that they're going to do.
They have a story attached
but this story,
time.
yes,
It made more sense.
I think they are starting to combine that more, where they're like, let's use the story to be like, okay, Rawoon and Dawan are probably going to be these parts, because then they can just practice these parts and then one chorus dance together, It's a little bit more justified than I think the first one, which was our criticism. It just felt like it was all over the place.
Yeah.
Here, it makes sense that it's all over the place because we're following a narrative.
Well, and they talked about it in their acting coaching of being all of your characters have to be different characters.
Different people. You
They can't just be general mafia guys, 9 of them. Here they are.
Yeah.
So I do think it was very clear and nice as a viewer who isn't super familiar with them to be oh, there's the one who's wearing
there's
that.
One who's this.
There's
the one
that.
Yeah. And I really liked all the costuming, honestly. I really liked Taeyang's giant Jennifer Lopez white leopard coat
the
or whatever.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, a big coat with a tiny little
body, tiny little waist.
Oh my god.
Adam was like, "Who's that? Who's that one with the face?" And I was like, "That's Hwiyoung." The face. I liked the changes that they made with the song, honestly.
100%.
The raps are so...
The way this song starts is so good.
Oh my god. First of all, Rawoon, who is just a fucking brick of a man. He is so...
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
All he does in the first is he shoots a guy and then he sits on a chair. But the pace is slowed down so much. They slow down the pace so much in these first 2 lines. And they do a little bit of a riff, him and Dawan just do a little riff with a little soul in it.
Yeah.
And they're just taking their time. Rawoon basically just sits down, leans back, and picks something up.
Yeah.
Girl, she was purring. Whew.
I think this song I think they did a good job of it being a new version of the song, but
and their
feeling
version.
like the song.
Yeah, totally.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I was very impressed with this. My complaints. Things I didn't love.
Yeah, I think too much clothing, I think.
So much clothing. I could lose 10 layers.
I could lose 9 layers actually. Specifically.
Okay, actual complaints. I felt like their group choreo was not as tight
yeah, I know.
as I wanted it to be, and I'm sure they wanted it to be.
Yeah, totally.
I felt like it wasn't, because I've watched a couple things from them now, just in preparation for the show, and I know what they can do.
They have the capacity to.
But I think again, it's probably just time on
just
their
time,
part.
yeah.
They just don't have time to rehearse
especially this, where it's new choreography.
And we'll talk about a group that is immaculately in sync coming up shortly.
Yeah.
But that was one I felt like
you didn't like the dance break, or it just felt it was a little too.
It was very
crazy.
Scattered during that initial dance break with the lasers and everything. That I was like, what's going on? I think it refocused in kind of after the I like all the
I really
like
like all the pieces.
Nitpicky.
Yeah, totally.
For my critiques. But
I think
that's
all of them I think are all gonna be nitpicky. At least the 3 that we watched today.
Yeah,
they're all great performances.
If I was watching this live, I would have been screaming.
I'd be screaming
without an S.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just who? Just who?
Name them.
Name all 9 members.
Name them.
I mean, genuinely, Rawoon in this fucking suit. I can't.
I know.
It's just, it fits
and
him
it is
well, and it's just tight enough.
Gripped.
I
Yeah, they look great. They sound great.
They sound great.
They sound really good,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
I really like how
I think my favorite part of the whole, like, musically,
Mm-hmm.
I really liked InSong's, like, main vocal part. He was real acting, but he's the one that's currently in a musical. So I felt like he was in his most gig, like, I'm on fire. Like, he was really
Oh,
feeling
yeah,
it.
he was living.
He was living, honey.
Yeah. I went back. We like watched. We
We
always
rewatched.
rewatch right before we record, just so we can like kind of refresh. So we rewatched, and then we also watched the music video from the boys. And I had forgotten. I remember the song and most of the music video, but I forgot that it was like a literal heart.
It's a
they
little
were
heart.
stealing
It's Phantom
actual
Hearts. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it is. There was
Phantom
a point
Thieves.
where I think it's Q where he says like we're like the dandy version of it.
Yeah. They're
And
like, we're the dandier version.
Yeah, and I think like it was interesting to watch because like in the boys trajectory in December, this felt so different because it was like, oh, they're men. But now like watching men do it, I was like, oh
yes.
those,
I mean,
that's
their
a man.
name is the boys. So there is
Right.
a boyhood charm in all of their style.
Yeah.
So by watching SF9 do it, who I think because we watched their O Sole Mio to compare to the next number, and they were Twinkie on us.
So,
they were babies.
Yeah.
So watching them now as
Tinkerbells.
like their men evolutions, it's just, I mean, it feels like a new song.
Yeah. But the Steelers so good.
The Steelers, I mean,
It's
that's
such
a
a good song.
great
It's a
song.
good song. It's a good song.
So like even as a slowed down like sexy version like this in noir, it just works so well. All 9 at the same time.
Okay, so the next song is the next group up is the boys.
Oh, sole mio.
The boys' feedback from the professionals were that again. This is their entire narrative on the show. If you haven't caught on, it is that they are comparing directly to their time on
Road to Kingdom performances,
and it sucks that is their narrative.
Yeah.
It sucks that there's nothing else to mine. Because the boys have so much more to offer than just that, but that is just the straw they drew in doing the show.
And the thing is, if the boys didn't win Road to Kingdom, I think that'll end up being whoever won Road to Kingdom. This will be their story.
100%.
It could have been
it's
anyone.
the built-in
It's the
storyline
built-in
for
storyline.
whoever wins Road
Totally.
to Kingdom.
If Juanes had won, this would have been Juanes'
If
story.
ONF had won,
If ONF
if Very
had won.
Very had won, like
Yeah.
if any of them had won,
Yeah.
it would have. It doesn't matter who the group is. That would have been the storyline.
That would have just been the story that they would have written in. And genuinely the struggle, because like we said, there is an exhaustion that you go from doing this already into now just finishing the run with people who have been like taking a break for the first half of the run. You know,
They did
Like a
Kingdom
marathon.
to then go and do Kingdom.
it's a marathon. They ran a marathon. Everyone else is running a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So they choose O Sole Mio to do SF9 song. And they have a visit. Speaking of their narrative, they visit with some of the members of the other groups from Road to Kingdom. So they visit with members from ONEUS, Very Very, and ONF. And there's like this kind of like sadness of, well, first of all, I want to say this: the boys are taking this very hard.
Yeah.
They won every single challenge in Road to Kingdom, and they're just doing, I think it's almost worse that they're just doing fine here, or like they are being perceived as that they're just doing fine,
Right,
that they're not
right.
blowing out of the water every time. And you can tell it's really
Taking a
bummer
toll
for
on them. Yeah, it's really
I
affecting
think
them.
This is really affecting Sunu.
Yeah.
He feels like there's this energy that Sunu has, even though he's not the leader of the
Right.
group, that he's just like so
He's good about rallying.
producer-minded.
Yeah.
That I think he like is always like thinking about the larger picture.
Yeah.
And I think he's just bummed for that because he can kind of see what the trajectory is
Yeah.
turning into. And it's almost like he's Cassandra, and everyone is like, I don't know. There's just like kind of
he feels like he knows like what they're gonna end up. It's like, I don't think we'll win.
We have watched Sunu have a lot of fun with the members of this group.
Yeah.
And obviously this show is not a show
Fun.
in which it's about that.
Yeah.
But he does not. There is a point in this package where they're all like goofing around, and
he's just in the back, like
he's just
watching
in
the video,
back,
watching the music video.
watching the music video.
Yeah.
And it was such a bummer to me because it sucks that they have such pressure on themselves about this. And I can only imagine these awful conversations that these companies have with them when they do this stuff, because like as we saw in like Peak Time, how BAE 173, how Pocket Doll was like, listen, if you win, we'll get you a new dorm.
We'll get you a new dorm.
Like, that was crazy to say on screen.
On TV. Yeah.
But I would not be surprised if similar conversations happen with all of these groups of being like, here's your bonus. Here's your bonus
if
you win.
And if you win, you get to take a break.
And especially knowing their trajectory, and that like Road to Kingdom kind of did save them from
having to disband.
They don't know what the future is, right?
Yeah.
They think it's still just around the corner, disbandment. So I totally understand why there's such pressure on them, but it sucks because they're such like a fun group, and I did like that in this package they got a little bit of that out of them,
totally.
But they're so sad all the time outside of it, even to the point that New is like, what are we doing? We need to have fun. Like, the point of this is to have fun.
Yeah.
Which is, if New is telling you
if
that.
New is telling us, if the cat
is telling you
the cat is the one that's like, you guys are a bunch of sourpusses.
Hello. It's not looking good.
I know. And I don't want to harp on this anymore. Like with the whole Road to Kingdom thing. I completely understand the want and the need to be like, you have to know those good performances in Road to Kingdom. I'm sure we will watch it sometime in the future. I'm sure it'll happen if it happens.
I promise. But after Kingdom, even if it's not picked as a show for us to watch in any capacity by our voters.
Yes.
Voting. We're back to voting.
Voting, yeah.
I promise we will watch
the performances. Yeah.
I don't know if we'll be able to
recap the show.
Recap it, and we probably won't
like watch the full show reactions.
React and be able to put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because mnet is so strict.
Yeah, we can't do anything, basically.
But for those of you on the Patreon, I promise once Kingdom is over, we will go back and be like, wow, they really did the damn thing. The girls did the thing.
Yeah.
Now, if people do vote for Road to Kingdom, I would, of course, be totally willing to watch that.
Right.
Because I don't know any of those other groups.
Yeah.
I know one is in the White Stick.
Yeah.
But that's all I know. So it'll be fun to learn them. Anyway, okay. Let's talk about this.
But they have a little luncheon with members of...
Luncheon.
Yeah. To kind of revitalize, like, you guys did... there was a reason why like you did well in Road to Kingdom. Because I feel like Q probably needed to hear it, but I think Sunu and Sangyeon should have been up there too. I
know. I think it was good for the dancers because famously so fucking hard on themselves. Jesus Christ.
I'm sure Juyeon, but I think I would have wanted Sunu and Sangyeon also to hear it.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. O Sole Mio.
O Sole Mio.
I can't believe they're still doing this Game of Thrones.
I can't believe they're still doing Game of Thrones.
They're going to do Game.
Listen, if I had watched Game of Thrones, I bet I would be living.
I would be living.
I did not watch Game of Thrones, so it's just being lost on me.
A lot.
I know. Spoiler alert,
I know the
red
wedding. Yes, we know. But it was interesting because in the little copy on the bottom, it's like it's called Red Wedding version, but they were saying that the inspiration drew more on Moulin Rouge T, Tango Roxanne. Yeah. So, all that said, when it first starts with the tango with, once again, Juyeon and a diva, two divas in a birdcage, I mean, I could watch Juyeon dance forever.
I just-
genuinely could
I
watch
know,
him dance.
I know. It's
It's
crazy.
his lines, his artistry and how he moves. It's so crazy. It's
This
so
is what
crazy.
I'm talking about. Like, yes, Juyeon looks like that. But Juyeon is like, I'm not crying. I'm not going to cry about this. But he
You
is
are.
just so incredibly artistic. And it is like not a type of artistry that I feel like really gets explored in K-pop. Like
yeah.
when you see good dancers in K-pop, I feel like it's so specifically in the hip hop sphere of things.
Yes, the
style.
Street Fighter, like whoa, yeah.
And that is, but his like
The lyrical,
the lyricism of his movement is it's like watch it.
Yeah.
It's so moving to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
Like there's a grace that he has that like you can't. It's very hard to learn. Especially, I will say this as like a boy. It's
Totally.
just like that type of movement is like not. You are not supposed to move like that as a boy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying anything about anything, but just like that's why it's so like rewarding watching it, is because it's like. Anyway, I could
Billy Elliot,
honestly,
bitch.
I could talk about
It's
this
Billy
for
fucking
hours.
Elliot.
He is one of a kind. I actually I saw online someone did like the best dancers in K-pop,
And
if
Jian
they're-
was not on there?
and he was not on there, and I was like, this negates the entire list. I'm sorry, wonderful dancers on there. Wooyoung was on there.
Amazing. Yes, absolutely. Incredible dancer.
I will talk about Wooyoung in just a moment because I rewatched Inception and I was like, fuck, he eats this song so hard. But Juyeon is just there are so few like him in the space.
Yeah.
And I want to hold space.
And I
for
want to
that.
hold space for that, because we are in queer media.
Does it drive people crazy that he always gets the solo? Maybe.
I'm
I
sure,
don't know. But
I'm sure. But
you know what?
If you have that, it's the
Why not use it?
It's the Felix
It would be
deep
like
voice.
if you were like why are they always having Jimin do like beautiful
Raps.
contemporary like Jimin do beautiful contemporary
dancing,
movement?
Yeah.
Why would you not?
Bitch, because
Why
he's
would you
beautiful
not?
at
Like
it.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, I would be pissed if they don't use the skills that you know they have.
Okay, highlights of the song. First of all,
The fucking tango. I mean,
the tango, the entire aesthetic,
The coming back to
visuals,
the reprise of the tango where the diva goes up on the birdcage. Amazing.
The again, there's like these moments of like
Yes.
extensions from different members. I just think it's like so beautiful.
Yeah.
And this is like what I want more from them as the show goes, because it is such a contrast to all of the other groups on the show that they have this space that really the other groups
Yes,
do not possess.
they're able to like be more of this elegant.
Elegant. And I think people like can find it off-putting, right? Because
Yeah.
it's so like it's what you're told is so
Feminine?
not. I mean, sure, probably,
Right?
But like also like I think there is like a charm to scrappiness that of course Stray Kids has.
Yeah.
That is like you feel like oh yeah, like
Yeah,
fuck-
you're rooting for the
they're
for
like
them.
the underdogs. Like
Yeah.
there's something about that energy that makes you like your
Mm-hmm.
lizard brain is like fuck yeah, get them. But there's like. And you're told for so long that like this type of elegance is like what everyone should aspire to be,
Yeah.
and because it's so aspirational, it's almost like you're
We can't
reinforcing
get
this
into
thing.
it.
But
Yeah.
it's just so
It's so beautiful. It's
beautiful.
smooth. It's like so lyrical. It's so like melodic.
I can't.
It's so effortless the way they do it. And I know
And they make it look so.
they make it so easy.
easy.
Yeah.
When they do that group choreo at the beginning. They are every single angle. It is like
It's like looked at. Yeah, totally.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
And
Not
that I
a
do
thing
think
out of place.
I do think that is from experience in Road to Kingdom. They know the angles, they know the space, like how they can kind of play with it. Because I will say, out of all of them, they feel the most comfortable in the space.
Yeah, I would agree. I love
the little
redo of the like the
Yes.
music itself.
Yeah.
I think is incredible.
I love the little pockets that they go into because it felt very Runaway Railway because we're like following one track and then we go in and they go in
no
literally.
one has any idea.
And they go in this room and it's like all projectors and then they come out of the room and then go back. Like there's just it's theme park, bitch. It's literally a theme park. I mean, all three. These are the most theme park performances.
I think all 6 are going to be theme park.
Yeah. Because they are taking the point of view and you're following through them. I think just because it feels like this is their way to be creative without having like an audience.
I didn't even get to say my SF9 joke.
Catastrophe Canyon?
No, I was going to say the whole performance was giving like Grand Theft Auto Busan.
I don't think you needed to say that.
Okay, well, I thought it was really funny at the time.
Itaewon Class, honey.
Sure. Let's talk about the fire. We have to talk about it.
We talked about the fire. Honestly, when we were watching it, and all of a sudden Sangyeon started beating himself up for it. I was like, why is he so mad? Because all of a sudden it was like, but there's one member that is like racked with guilt and disappointment.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking about it like the fire didn't go off. And then they show that the fire does go off in his hand. The little flash paper lights up on his hand. But he's supposed to like touch the Q-tip, the giant bronze Q-tip or whatever.
The oiled
Q-tip. And then it doesn't catch on fire. It did not work in rehearsal and it did not work here. And after watching it, I was like, oh, it is supposed to be on fire the entire time because they keep using the prop.
They keep passing it around.
Until
That's why the space is dark.
That's why the space is dark. Until Juyeon is back in the birdcage. And like, I felt so bad for Sangyeon. He even says like, he says it. He's like, I wish I was dead. You know, like I wish I was not here. My themed entertainment brain after working at Epcot for so long, went fully like, why was there not a pit of fire literally there that they could have just, even if they don't use it, even if they use it as a prop,
like little like two yes, like the bowl
fires,
the bowl fire on like a column.
Yes, that they just like are
just
set
as
dressing.
a contingency.
So that way, if that doesn't happen, Sunu can quickly dip it in that fire.
You can just go and then
give it and then pass it along. I was like, you could just one, or if they knew it wasn't going to work, because I understand like that is a really cool trick. But if it has not worked.
Oh my god!
I don't know what to tell you, Diva.
Oh my god!
I like my stage management brain fully was like, we gotta get the contingencies, honey. Get a damn the goblet of fire up there, bitch.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
They could have had that prop.
Yes,
that like he dips it in there and the eternal flame or whatever, and that's the fire that they keep using.
I was so annoyed. Yes, and I think. I want to be clear. The first time I watched it, before we even went into that,
didn't even notice.
I noticed it was dark in that room.
Yes, and when there was one of the projections was that like everything lit on fire. I thought that it would explode and it would be on fire. It was
going to catch on fire.
And I was like, oh, maybe that. I don't think that worked. I think that we're supposed to something to happen, but it took me until half of them using it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think it detracts from the performance. I don't think it's bad, blah, blah, blah. I want to be very clear, blah, 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 blah.
Truly, I was not.
Actually, my issue is that I kind of wish that room where they're all in like shadow.
Yeah, it was
just like lit a little bit more. And I understand the point was to like emphasize the flame.
Fire. Yeah.
But it wouldn't have cast enough light for it to like. It just would have looked cool, but I still wanted to see like their bodies because I just diatribed for 12 minutes.
How beautiful their movements
I
is.
love watching them dance.
Yeah.
So I was a little like bummed in that regard.
Yeah.
And that is my only criticism of this entire
I mean, I'm always going to complain about the fucking cameras. They didn't show New again.
Actually, you're right.
They didn't show New again.
If we first of all, stop putting New in the back to do his high notes.
His high notes.
Stop doing that.
Baby, come on to the front.
That's actually not mnet. That is their
That's choreography,
and
yeah.
so let's look at that. But number 2, I want a tight shot. I want come here. This is how close I want to be seeing New sing. I want to be right here. I want to be in it because that's the voice.
That's the voice, Curtis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Them doing the last group choreo was just.
Yeah, it's like
Chef's kiss.
the gold glitter, it's just.
I love Golden Red. I just love that combo. And all the dancers on the fucking archway up there.
I didn't understand the shooting the arrow to make the sun turn into
away.
an eclipse.
I don't know if that's a Game of Thrones thing.
It's probably Game of Thrones thing, so I just fully went
Was there a solar eclipse that happened in the Red Wedding?
Sure, probably.
Sure.
I love whenever they get to do boy girl dancing in K-pop.
Same.
All of it was a 10 out of 10
Yeah.
for me. This is one of the best
I hope they
performances
keep doing
I've ever watched.
boy girl duo dances in every. We had one in last round with SF9, and we had one in this one.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just so, because it's so rare that they get to be that close.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just. Oh, actually, no. I had one more thing. There is a part. Sorry, just one quick thing. I liked Sunwoo's rap a lot, but the beat fully leaves. He just is
Yeah,
rapping.
he's kind
at
of
the very
freestyling.
first half of it. He's just rapping without a beat underneath him.
Yeah.
And I couldn't feel the beat.
Yeah.
And I think I just
agree.
needed to hear it to know that he was on the
On
beat.
some,
if
yeah,
that
I
makes
needed
sense.
some percussion to what's the metronome?
Yes,
I just needed a little
because it
metronome.
comes in halfway through,
Yeah.
and then I was like, "Oh, it's fine," but I just couldn't. I'm sure he was right. I
Yeah.
just couldn't hear it, and
Yeah.
that was the only thing that threw me off.
Yeah. Great performance.
And then it's so funny because we rewatched The Stealer, and I was like, "He's so cunty
He's
in The
just
Stealer."
He's the best. Sunwoo is literally the best.
He's so great.
Okay, last but not least.
Last
from
but
this episode,
certainly not
we have
least,
iKON.
we have iKON. Their feedback was similar, storyline, blah, blah, blah. And they were obviously bummed that they didn't rank super well. They were excited that they had at least raised 1 point.
Yes.
They went from 6th in
Sixth
the
to fifth.
introduction to 5th in the...
in this. So they were like, we'll get one by one until we're first.
Sure.
There's nowhere to go but up when you're
nowhere to
6th in
go.
the first place, first rank.
Right.
So
they look at the ateez discography and they decide that they are going to do Inception as the song that they have picked.
And they were like, let's fully rewrite the chorus. Let's completely reproduce and make it our own iKON hip hop beat.
Yeah. They do Inception. They do the movie. They do special effects. They do the walls.
They do the
moving.
walls.
They do the
the road, the
yeah.
street. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
All of it's great.
They stay up till 6 a.m. to practice.
They stay up till 6 a.m. to practice. That's crazy. That's commitment.
Adam was like, I think YG is the best building design.
Of the 6 buildings that we've seen, I think YG has the coolest building.
I need FNC
Visually,
to
aesthetically.
I need FNC to get a power washer because if I need to see their dingy walls one more time, my God, fish and chips, pay for a damn power washer.
Get Camden out there.
Get Kyrell out there. Zzz. Yeah.
So they have this really cool moment. First of all, they start teasing Jay and being like, how's your good friend Hongjung? Because as we go and flash back to the first episode.
Yes, they start chatting with ateez, just waiting.
Yeah. And it's the most, if you are a fan of multiple groups, this is
this is why you watch
this
these
is
shows.
watching the Avengers.
Yeah.
This has to be what it was like to watch.
Name an Avenger.
Infinity War. That has to be what it was like for you nerds who like that stuff. Because just watching them interact and being like, oh my God, we look up to you. And like all of that, like really earnest interaction is like,
they're like, yeah, we used to dance to your songs during our assessments. And then they were like, oh yeah, our headquarters is in Hongdae, but then we live near blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, Bobby, Bobby lives right there. Bobby. And so they're fully just like, yeah, we should treat you to a meal one of these days. And like, I could watch that.
Yes.
Because that is so interesting to me.
Yes.
Genuinely.
It's just people who are in the same profession talking to each other. It's like going to any business conference and just listening, but it's more exciting because these people have talent.
Yes.
What did you think about this?
Okay. This production, the music production of this version of Inception is so fucking good. It has been completely turned into an iKON song.
The first part sounds like the original.
Yes. And then it hit the chorus and I was like, God, I had shivers. It was like completely different.
It's so good.
And then Bobby gets in there and does a Bobby verse. And I was like, I fully turned into Candy Muse. I was like, if you don't have star quality, get the fuck out. And Bobby from iKON
has star quality.
Has star fucking quality.
100%. That level of like, I am like having fun on stage is the only thing I ever want to watch.
Yes. Oof.
It is so.
Oh my God.
It's so like rewarding. You feel like he's having fun, so I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Like it's all like not serious, but it's like cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just was like,
because like the entire time Bobby is like just doing the ad libs. Like he's just ad libbing. He's like,
we noticed it more on the second watch
because he's not in the like some of the moments. Like he's not there.
He doesn't like come in until his
verse and then like some of the group numbers.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much it. But you hear him constantly.
Yeah,
he's just like okay, yeah, and it's just like I was living
so good
every time. Yeah, the Bobby verse is crazy, and then when they get back into the choreo again during the bridge.
And they do the red.
It feels like they are picking up things because this felt like, oh, they picked up from Stray Kids, like, oh, having the numbers really
just like the volume of people. Yes. Yeah.
And also, we found out that the budget situation was fixed for round 2.
Yes, everyone was alerted of the same information.
Yes,
everyone was given the same instructions.
Everyone was playing with the same toy box by the end. By round 2.
By round 2.
So they just had and it was like full like Jabberwockies, like arm movement. It was like just so cool that I was like, this chorus. This is the challenge.
ateez, please don't be mad at me. This chorus is better than the original.
I know. I really liked it as a hip hop song. I really liked it as a hip hop song.
I really liked it as a hip hop song. And I normally like with hip hop songs, like they're hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
Because
it's a little too forced.
Sometimes it does feel forced. With iKON, it obviously doesn't feel forced. Right, YG has like a very specific.
They're really good at it. There's a reason why.
That's like their bread and butter. Yeah. Sure. This, I was like, oh, this is, and I think Inception is such a good song on its own anyway.
Totally. It's very.
We rewatched it and I was like, this song hits. Slaps, it's so good. But they like to make it better and to make it sound like their own song.
Like this was an iKON song.
This was Inception an iKON song, and then it was so weird that ateez did a cover of it and made a music video out of it. It's so strange. What? That's crazy.
Because even watching them react, like watching ateez react, their minds were blown.
It was so
like San's eyes were fully in the back of his head.
It was so rewarding watching them experience that because like. It's like obviously a group they look up to.
But it's so cool to be like, that's a song. Like, I'm sure Hongjun was like, that's a song that I wrote.
Well, it's the best part because Jungho goes, oh, I can't wait to hear my part.
Yeah.
Because he does the first chorus. Yeah. And then it just shifts and he was like, he's like blown away. It's so cool. There are so few times that like you get to like, and I do like that it's clear that they did not see each other's rehearsals or anything.
I know, and I really like that. They didn't know because they were just based on what they were hearing. Like, what
Because
song
Queen
is
and
this?
Puzzle, they always saw each other's rehearsals.
Yeah,
And so
they were,
there
like,
was no
sneaking in,
shock.
yeah.
They were more just like seeing how they were doing.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like,
I love it.
I love
it.
the shock of each
Yeah.
group being like, oh shit. Because even like when the boys like finished their performance, every group was like, how do they do that?
Where
do they get these ideas?
How?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love it. It's
Yeah.
so good.
I think the music production is great. The choreo is so good.
My actual only complaint with this whole number
set.
is the set on camera felt lightweight.
Yeah.
Like it needed to feel like I thought the effects were really well done,
Yeah.
and I thought they looked really good
The
But-
set pieces just looked really fake.
because they are fake.
Yeah.
But I wanted there to be like a little bit more effort to put into making it feel like it's a wall
It's a
moving,
wall, yeah,
right? Not just
yeah.
like a flat.
Yeah.
That is my only complaint.
yeah.
And it is the most
Yes.
nitpicky complaint I have today.
But I mean, like, what, for like a week, 2 weeks worth of building?
It's crazy that
It
they
was
could even
great.
do this.
Yeah. The warped like facades didn't really work for me. I was like, saying, Adam, it looked like Wonderworks or whatever the fuck on iDrive.
The warped facades.
But it looks better in the lighting that they use in the performance. When they were just like showing it, I think it was like, oh yeah, that looks weird warped. It felt very like Roger Rabbit. But like in the like
squash and
lights,
stretch.
yes,
Yeah.
in the lights and the effects, I'm like, oh, like with the forced perspective you're supposed to see it in. I'm like, okay, yeah. It looks a little bit more legit.
The warped, there is a level of like,
But there's like a abstraction,
there's a level that I think especially they have where their front part of their set looks like the set of Music Bank. Like how on the first week of when they go and do their performances, they like bring their set or whatever, and it's always like big set pieces around in a half circle around them for every music show.
Yeah.
That's the energy it gave
yeah.
a little bit. And I thought it was really cool that they did the like warped cityscape. Like I thought that idea was really cool and it really read actually well.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to be a little bit more dynamic, I think, in terms of like how it looked.
The other thing that I would have...
Is that interesting?
If there was another Inception kind of like imagery, I would have loved like the flipped rooms. So like if they were smaller rooms, tighter shots, and then all of a sudden
If they had been able to do the like room,
the actual room
that
that was spinning, and they have to like
and they have to
go
walk around
that
it.
would have been really great.
I mean, it's like that.
But
that
like,
you have to like fully.
That's Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan had to like pay a lot of money to.
But even then, like it's like a machine that's like turning it. So I get why they can't do it, but that would have been super cool.
Yeah.
But I thought all of it was very clear, and then I thought the top, the imagery of the top. I have seen Inception, so this all worked for me. If I had never seen Inception, then I would be like, "What's going
was that
on?"
top that just kept spinning?
Yeah, what's that about? Well, because the top fell.
The tops were in SF9, so that's why.
All right, we'll wrap it up. As always, you can join us on patreon.com/boyslove, where we are watching along every week to Kingdom Legendary War. We are also watching, not me, the BL from Thailand. And if you join the Bob level, we're watching a really smutty BL.
We're watching a really smutty Japanese BL.
Called My Personal Weatherman. And that's crazy. So those are your options.